Good morning, grade fives, and welcome to another English lesson with me, Miss Kun. I hope that you're all doing well and that you're happy, healthy, and ready to learn. Remember that if you've got any questions throughout this lesson, you email them to grade5@WorksheetCloud.com. Okay, and this lesson is brought to you by WorksheetCloud. So with that, let's get us ready, let's get us smiling, and let me tell you your joke for the day. So how do you put an astronaut's baby to sleep? How do you do it? Well, you just rock it. Rock it, so you rock it, but then it's also rocket. If that makes sense? Get it? I don't know how else to do the sound effect, but you know exactly what I mean. Okay, so that's enough about me. I hope you're smiling, and I'm sure you are. Let's get going. So today's lesson, boys and girls, we are going to be looking at adverbs. So it is an essential part of speech in the English language, identifying adverbs. And what's awesome about adverbs is that they tell us so much about the verb in question. And we are going to look at different types of adverbs today. So, first of all, before we begin, we need to just go through exactly again what is an adverb. So, an adverb is a word that tells us more about the action verb, adjective, and another adverb. So, it gives us a little bit more detail. It allows us to really visualize what is going on in the sentence or the story, and it gives us more detail with the English itself. It tells us how something is happening, when something happened, where something happened, and how often something happens as well. And so it just gives more life into your work. Most adverbs, not all adverbs, end in a ly. Okay, so not all adverbs, but most adverbs end in an ly, a ly. Okay, and we'll have a look at some examples of that. Adverbs can be used before or after the verb they are describing. So most adverbs can be used before or after, which is really great. Okay, so we'll have a look at that. And so there's no specific rule that an adverb is only placed at a certain point in a sentence. Adverbs can be anywhere in a sentence. So we are going to look at our different types of adverbs. And we're going to start off looking at how a verb is being done. So remember what I said? We said that adverbs can describe a few different aspects of verbs. So now we're going to look at how. So, the investigators, let's look at the sentence. The investigators slowly filled the office. So, this describes how that office was being filled. It was being filled slowly. In all of these sentences that I'm going to show you as an example, as the instruction says, the word that is underlined is the adverb, and the arrow points to the verb. So, it gives us a little bit more detail with this, or information about the particular verb. Okay, an adverb describes how often the verb is being done. We searched once for the lost treasure. So this once gives us a little bit more information about the action and how they searched. They searched for this treasure, but they only searched once for the treasure. Okay, let's have a look at another one. So we also have adverbs that describe when something is being done. So an adverb describes when the verb is being done. I always tell the truth to my parents. And so always is the adverb because it's telling me when. It's like a time of when something happens. I always tell the truth. Tell is the verb in the sentence. An adverb describes where the verb is done. So it gives us a bit of a location where something is taking place, where it is being done. Then the sentence, my brother searched outside in the backyard for the hidden chest. So it gives us that location of outside. Where did he search? He searched outside. Okay, good. So now we're going to go into specifically our 3 types of adverbs. We're going to start off looking at adverbs of manner. Right, let me just move me down. We are going to look at adverbs of manner. So, an adverb of manner, if we say in what was the manner in which that was, in which that happened, for example. So when we talk about adverbs of manner, it describes how something is being done, and that adverb ends in an ly. Most of the how adverbs end in an ly. It tells us how the action is being done. So swiftly, quickly, patiently, terribly, strongly, gently, calmly, clearly, happily, silently, loudly, eagerly, sadly, cautiously, another easily. So it tells us how something is being done, right? And you can see that most of them end in an ly. So let's look at some examples of where and how we would find an adverb of manner. So here we've got 2 sentences. It says, the first one says, the detective looked carefully at the evidence. So remember, step 1, identify the verb. Where is the verb in the sentence? So the detective looked carefully. Looked is our verb. How did that detective look? He looked carefully. So carefully is the adverb to describe the verb looked. Okay. The second one, they gently touched the artifacts in the ground. So for those of you that don't know, the word artifacts, they are what an artifact actually is. Artifacts are priceless objects, and these particular objects have been buried in the ground, or they've been hidden away for centuries and years, and then they have now been discovered by archaeologists that have found these particular artifacts, and they are priceless. They tell us a little bit about how certain places and parts of the world and how our world lived centuries ago and how people lived. And most artifacts we actually find in museums, interestingly enough. So if they in the sentence, they gently touched the artifacts in the ground. So in this case, the verb is touched. They touched. How did they touch these priceless artifacts? They touched them gently. They touched them gently. Okay. Right, now that is adverbs of manner. So remember, an adverb of manner is a word that describes how that verb is being done. Okay, so it gives us a little bit more detail into the how. Right, now if we look at adverbs of time, which is the second type of adverb that we are going to look at today. So an adverb of time tells us when something is being done, and it gives us a sense of time. So when something is being done, and it can be either at the beginning or it can be at the end of a sentence. It can go before the verb or it can go after the verb. Doesn't really matter in this case. So some examples would be soon, then, early, often, after, today, tomorrow, yesterday, sometimes, always, last, late, daily, now, first. So those are just some examples, and you see that all of these words here, they give you a sense of time. Is it happening now? Is it happening tomorrow? Did it happen yesterday? And it's like a when. So you always ask yourself, when did this happen? And once you find that particular word that describes the when, you know it is an adverb of time. Okay, so let's look at some examples. So the first sentence says, yesterday the young detective discovered a fossil. Okay, so when did the young detective discover a fossil? He discovered it. So discover is our verb. And when was that fossil discovered? It was discovered yesterday. So yesterday is our adverb of time. It gives us a sense of time. It was discovered yesterday. The second sentence, they will come back later to see if they can find more fossils. So if we have a look at our sentence over here, the word later is our adverb, and it describes the word come. So when are they coming? Are they coming now? So you always ask yourself, when? When are they coming? Because an adverb of time describes a when. When are they coming? They're coming later. to find more fossils. Right. So that is our adverb of time. So we've looked at adverb of manner. We've had a look at now adverb of time. And thirdly, we are now going to go into adverb of place. So an adverb of place tells us when something happens. So do you notice that with all the adverbs, when we read our sentence, you always ask yourself those question words. How did it happen? Does it tell us how? Does it tell us when? Does it tell us where? So we're using those question words to identify a little bit more about these sentences. Okay, so where something is done, where it is placed. Where can again go at the beginning or the end of the sentence. So it doesn't really matter where it goes. It all depends on the verb and it depends on the structure of the sentence. So some examples of adverb of place would be outside, inside, up, downstairs, away, nearby, there, here, upstairs, ahead, somewhere, anywhere, nowhere, around, far. So those are some examples of adverbs of place. Okay, so let's put them into a sentence or two sentences. So I could have the sentence, Miss Kuhn asked her learners to place their books over there by the table. Okay, in that sentence, I have clearly, it's almost like an instruction. Now, the verb in this case is place. So to place, and where, what is the word that describes a where or the place? It is over there. So it's almost, I want you to visualize that I'm giving this instruction to my boys in my class. I teach all boys, I'm at an all boys school. And so if I didn't say place it over there, and if I just said to my boys, right, boys, please go and place your books on the table. I'm telling you now, the question that I would get is, Miss Kuhn, which table, where must I place the books? Because I didn't specify and say over there. So it is important if we are referring to a location of some kind that we need to specify or add in an adverb of place. Okay, the other sentence here, the dog ran around the tree. Around is the adverb to describe the verb ran. So it talks about how the dog ran. It didn't tell us how did he run. He didn't run quickly or slowly. It talks about that he ran around the tree. So do you see that it allows us to have that image in our mind of that dog and where he's actually running. He's running around the tree. I'm picturing him running around the tree. Okay, right, so boys and girls, now we're going to do an activity. I would like you to get a piece of paper, a pen or a pencil, because we're going to do an activity that I want you to try on your own, and then I'm going to go through the answers. Because remember, the only way to practice English or to get better at English is just practice, practice, practice. Practice what we learn all the time. So, on a piece of paper, okay, let me just move me over there. Yes. I would like you to draw 4 columns and label them like this. So, on your piece of paper, you're going to do 4 different columns. In the heading of every column is going to look something like this. So, your first heading is going to say adverb of place. Your second heading is going to say adverb of time. Your third heading is adverb of manner. And your fourth heading is going to be verb. Right, so now it says, for each sentence, write the adverb under the correct column and the verb it describes. So, there are 5 sentences. For every sentence, remember the key first, you're going to start with sentence number 1. You are going to read the sentence. You are going to identify the verb in the sentence. Where is the verb in the sentence? Once you've identified that verb, you're going to write that verb in your verb column over here. You're going to write the word over here. Then you say to yourself, what word attaches itself to that verb that tells me more about that verb? Once you have found that adverb and that word, you say to yourself, is this word describing how that verb is taking place? Is it giving me a location, a where, or is it telling me when? So then you'll say, right, that word, am I going to put it in an adverb of place column, or an adverb of time, or an adverb of manner? Okay, so I'm going to read the sentences through with you, and then I would like you to pause the video. So sentence number 1, my family looked carefully for lost treasure. Number 2, there were several rocks to dig up. Number 3, then my brother climbed the hill. Number 5, he silently sat on the branch looking through the binoculars. Okay, so those are your 5 sentences. I would suggest now pause the video, try it on your own because I'm going to go through the answers. Okay, now it's your turn. 3, 2, 1, go. Right, let's have a look at the answers. So, your answers should look something like this. Don't know where to put me. There I am. Let's put me over there. Okay, so question number 1 says, my family looked carefully for lost treasure. So for this particular sentence, the verb in this case is the verb looked. And how do they look? It actually describes the word that is attached to looked. They looked carefully. That is a how, so it would be an adverb of manner. Okay, number 2, there were several rocks to dig up. So my verb is dig. And what did it describe how they digged or dug? Did it just tell me when they dug something up, or did it give me a place? They dug it up. Okay, so it's an adverb of place. Then the third one, we searched anywhere we thought it could be hidden. So the verb in the sentence would be searched. And it didn't describe how it was searched, how they searched. They didn't describe when they searched, but they described where they searched, and they searched anywhere. Number 4, then my brother climbed the hill. So the word climbed is the verb, and it describes a time then. And you see, just by adding that word then, in my mind, I'm thinking something must have happened for the brother then he decided to climb the hill. But we don't know. Right, and number 5, he silently sat on the branch looking through the binoculars. So the verb in this case is sat. So he silently sat on the branch. Okay, how did it describe how he sat? Yes, it did. It described and it said he silently sat on the branch. So that is our practice. How did you do? I hope you gave yourself a mark for each. Did you get 10 out of 10? If you didn't, then maybe rewind this video and try again. Okay, remember, practice makes perfect. So that is it for today's lesson, boys and girls. I hope that you have had an awesome lesson as much as that I have, and that you join me again tomorrow. And remember, practice your adverbs. How, when, where that verb takes place, or how it's done, or when it happens. But that's it from me. I hope that you have a great day further, and I'll see you next time. Remember, Hakuna Matata, and be kind to one another. Bye.